Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiri Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, The Cause of All Causes, text number 26 onwards. So Brahmaji is further explaining to Narad Muni about the material creation. Nabso ath vikurvana the bhuta sparsha gunavanilah paranvyat shabda vanscha prana ojah saho balam vayorapi vikurvana kala karma subhavatah उत्पद्यते जो वह रूपवत् स्पर्श शब्दवत् तेजसस्तु विकुर्वाण दासी दम्भो रसात्मकम् रूपवत् स्पर्श स्पर्शवच्चान्भो घोषवच्च परान्वयात् विशेषस्तु विकुर्वाण दम्बसो गन्धवान् भूत् प्रान्वयाद् रस स्पर्श शब्द रूप गुणान्वितः. So Brahma is saying, because the sky is transformed. So in the previous words, it was said about the ether or sky, how it is formed, and the sound which is in the sky that is produced from false ego, from the three modes of nature, from false ego, then three modes of nature, and then slowly all the material elements or the gross elements are going to appear. Because the sky is transformed. So in the sky, because of Kal, because of time, some transformation takes place. The air is generated with the quality of touch. So from sky, air is generated, air is produced with the quality of touch. So, and by the previous succession, the air is also full of sound. So the quality of sky is sound. Quality of air is touch and sound, because in air, sky is also present. And the basic principles of duration of life, sense perception, mental power, and bodily strength. When the air is transformed in course of time and nature's course, fire is generated. And in fire, there is touch, sound, and form. So taking shape. So some form is there, sense of touch is there, and sound is there. Since fire is also transformed, there is a manifestation of water full of juice and taste, and as previously, it also has form and touch and is also full of sound. And water being transformed from all variegatedness on earth appears odorous and, as previously, becomes qualitatively full of juice, touch, sound, and form, respectively. So this is how the creation takes place. It's it sounds very like it's happening automatically, but behind all this, energy of Krishna is there. Without that, because it is read no, with in course of time. So Kal, without time is Krishna's element. And obviously all these elements also, they are in the Mahat Tattva, already there. They just manifest slowly. The whole process of creation is an act of gradual evolution and development from one element to another, reaching up to the variegatedness of the earth as so many trees, plants, mountains, rivers, reptiles, birds, animals, and varieties of human beings. The quality of sense perception is also evolutionary, namely generated from sound, then touch, and from touch to form. Taste and odor also generated along with the gradual development of sky, air, fire, water, and earth. They're all mutually the cause and effect of one another, but the original cause is Lord Himself in plenary portion as Mahavishnu lying in the causal ocean of the Mahatattva. So that ocean is called causal ocean or Karan Sagar. That's why he's also known as Karana of Shai Vishnu. Means it is the cause of the material universe. That's why. But Krishna is the cause of all causes. That's mentioned in Brahma Samhita, and also this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, means everything comes from me. The qualities of sense perception are fully represented in the earth, and they are manifested in other elements to a lesser extent. In the sky, there is sound only, whereas in the air, there are sound and touch. In the fire, there are sound, touch, and shape, and in water, there is taste also, along with the other perceptions, namely sound, touch, and shape. In earth, however, there are all the above mentioned qualities and an extra development of order also, or the smell. Therefore, on earth, there is a full display of variegatedness of life, which is originally started with the basic principle of air. Diseases of the body take place due to derangement of air within the earthly body of the living being. So this part we don't see in the shloka, but Prabhupada, because he has so much of knowledge and like yesterday we were discussing, Krishna himself dictated him all this purports. So he had so much of knowledge of Ayurveda also. So many times he puts that knowledge in the purports. Diseases of the body take place due to derangement of air within the earthly body of the living beings. Mental diseases result from special derangement of the air within the body, and as such, yogic exercise is especially beneficial to keep the air in order so that diseases of the body become almost nil by such. So yogic exercise, I mean, of course, the yoga is for different purpose, but yogasanas, by doing yogasanas, one can keep the body fit. And this is what Prabhupada is saying. Mental diseases result from special derangement of air within the body. Of course, these days doctors they don't study all this, so they can come up with all their different ideas. But that's not quite true. And as such, yogic exercise is especially beneficial to keep the air in order. So the diseases of the body become almost nil by such exercises. So we all should take lesson from Moshini Mataji about the yoga. She can teach us all about yogasanas. When they are properly done, the duration of life also increases, and one can have control over death also by such practices. A perfect yogi can have command over death and quit the body at the right moment when he is competent to transfer himself to a suitable planet. The Bhakti Yogi, however, surpasses all the yogis because by dint of his devotional service, he is promoted to the region even beyond the material sky and is placed in one of the planets in the spiritual sky by the supreme will of the Lord, the controller of everything. So finally, Prabhupada comes back to Bhakti Yoga process. But in the middle, he gave some ideas about why and how to do yogic exercise, and keep the body fit. And one should not just to keep the body fit or for sense gratification, because body is necessary to serve Krishna. And a healthy body is very effective in service of Krishna. Prabhupada himself used to take care of his body so nicely. He would go for a walk every day. He would have massage, and massage he knew all about massage also, because he would teach his disciples which oil to use on which part of the body and how to rub that part of the body or massage that part of the body, so the movement of air is regulated properly. And that really kept Prabhupada going for so many years. And even after so much of traveling and physical exhaustion, mental exhaustion, he still kept going. Text 30. Vaikarikan mano jagye deva vaikarika dasha digvatarka pracheto ashva vahanindropendra mitrakaha. From the mode of goodness, the mind is generated and becomes manifest, as also the 10 demigods controlling the bodily movements. Such demigods are known as the controller of directions, the controller of air, the sun god, the father of Daksha Prajapati, the Ashwini Kumaras, the fire god, the king of heaven, the worshipable deity in heaven, the chief of the Adityas, and Brahmaji, the Prajapati, all come into existence. Vikarika is a neutral stage of creation, and Tejas is an initiative of creation, while Tamas is a full display of material creation under the spell of the darkness of ignorance. Manufacture of the necessities of life in factories and workshops, excessively prominent in the age of Kali or in the age of machine, is the summit stage of the quality of darkness. So Vekarika, Tejas, and Tamas. So Vekarika is a neutral stage of creation, means that is a stage of maintenance. And Tejas, so means that is a stage of mode of goodness. Tejas is initiative of creation, that is mode of passion, and Tamas is mode of ignorance. And Prabhupada is saying, this factory life it's a quality of darkness, mode of ignorance. Such manufacturing enterprises by human society are in the mode of darkness because factually there is no necessity for the commodities manufactured. And we think without factories we cannot live actually. Human society primarily requires food for subsistence, shelter for sleeping, defense for protection, and commodities for satisfaction of the senses. The senses are the practical signs of life, as will be explained in the next verse. Human civilization is meant for purifying the senses, and objects of sense satisfaction should be supplied as much as absolutely required, but not for aggravating artificial sensory needs. Food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification are all needs in material existence. Otherwise, in his pure, uncontaminated state of original life, the living entity has no such needs. The needs are therefore artificial, and in the pure state of life, there are no such needs. Means food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification are all needs in material existence. Means when one becomes pure, spiritually advanced, all these needs, they go down. Practically, they become nil. As such, increasing the artificial needs, as is the standard of material civilization, or advancing the economic development of human society, is a sort of engagement in darkness without knowledge. By such engagement, human energy is spoiled because human energy is primarily meant for purifying the senses in order to engage them in satisfying the senses of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, being the supreme possessor of spiritual senses, is the master of the senses, Rishikesha. Rishika means the senses and Isha means the master. The Lord is not the servant of the senses, or in other words, he is not directed by the dictation of the senses. But the conditioned souls or the individual living entities are servants of the senses. They are conducted by the dictation or direction of the senses. Therefore, material civilization is a kind of engagement in sense gratification only. So this is material civilization. Everybody is running around all day, every day. In fact, when we get up in the morning, you see, especially in India, in Delhi, you can see people. Here we don't even see people. We only see cars. So here, over there, if you just look around and see, everybody is running around, doing different sorts of activities. Some legal, some illegal, some this, some that. For what? Just to satisfy the senses. That's all. There is no other business. And people are running, people are going crazy to get money somehow or other so that they can enjoy the senses more and more and more. But this is material world, material civilization. The Vedas instruct us to get out of the existence of darkness and go towards the path of light. Tamso man jyotirgamaya. The path of light is therefore to satisfy the senses of the Lord. Misguided men or less intelligent men follow the path of self-realization without any attempt to satisfy the transcendental senses of the Lord by following the path shown by Arjuna and other devotees of the Lord. On the contrary, they artificially try to stop the activities of the senses, yoga system, or deny the transcendental senses of the Lord, jnana system. The devotees, however, are above the yogis and jnanis because pure devotees do not deny the senses of the Lord. They want to satisfy the senses of the Lord. So that's a huge difference between devotees and yogis and jnanis. So towards the end, Prabhupada writes, the devotees of the Lord do not try to deny the senses of the Lord, nor do they artificially stop the actions of the senses. But they do voluntarily engage the purified senses in the service of the master of the senses, thereby easily attaining the perfection of satisfying the Lord, the ultimate goal of all perfection. So the senses are there. Material body means senses are there, and they are uh, imperfect senses, they are contaminated senses. All we have to do, like yogis, what do? They say, there is no Lord. Of course, they say Lord is Nirakar, and ultimately we will be Nirakar. So no need to enjoy the senses. Jnanis say uh, they deny the transcendental senses of the Lord. Oh, I'm sorry. Yogis, they try to stop the activities of the senses of the Lord. They say, okay, we will do sit and do in tapasya. So no more senses going here, there, because we are not going to work for the senses. Jnani say, there are no senses. It's all Maya. But devotees say, no, there are senses. Even Krishna has senses. But the idea of our senses is to please Krishna. That's all. Text 31. Tajasa tu vikurvana dendriyani dasha bhavan jnana shakti kriya shaktir buddhi pranasya tejaso shrotram tvag grana drig java vagdor mindhang gripayavaha. By further transformation of the mode of passion, the sense organs like the ear, skin, nose, eyes, tongue, mouth, hands, genitals, legs, and the outlets for evacuating together with intelligence and living energy are all generated. So previous words are from mode of goodness, mind, vekarika. From the mode of goodness, mind is generated, and the 10 demigods. And now from mode of passion, the senses, the sense organs are all generated together with intelligence and the living energy. The living condition in material existence depends more or less on one's intelligence and powerful living energy. Intelligence to counteract the hard struggle for existence is assisted by the senses for acquiring knowledge, and the living energy maintains himself by manipulating the active organs, like the hands and legs, but on the whole, the struggle for existence is an exertion of the mode of passion. Therefore, all the sense organs headed by intelligence and the living energy, prana, are different products and byproducts of the second mode of nature called passion. This mode of passion, however, is a product of the air element, as described before. So, from the mode of passion, all these different sense organs are generated. Of course, Darwin says they all came from by chance, they just appeared. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam tells in complete detail about the creation and the creator also. Text 32. Yadate asangata bhava bhutendriya manoguna yada yat yada yatan nirmane na shekur brahma vittama. O Narad, best of the transcendentalists, the forms of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled. The different types of bodily constructions of the living entities are exactly like different types of motor cars, manufactured by assembling the allied motor parts. When the car is ready, the driver sits in the car and moves it as he desires. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 1861. The living entity is as if seated on the machine of the body, and the car of the body is moving by the control of the material nature, just as the railway trains are moving under the direction of the controller. So Prabhupada is giving example of car. The car is produced by different assembling together different parts. So similarly, the body is assembled by different parts, different senses, different modes, and the living entity then sits in the body and moves around. The living entities, however, are not the bodies. They are separate from the cars in the body. But this is where the problem is. Like when we sit in the car, we are driving the car, but we never say, I am the car. I am this car. Of course, we act like it. Suppose if I'm driving Mercedes and somebody is driving Maruti, of course, only our cars are different, but the soul is still the same in both the cars. But the one who's driving Mercedes, he will tell the guy in Maruti, "Oh, you are just a low person. You're not as powerful, as rich as I am." And if somebody hits his Mercedes, he will say, "Oh, you hit me." Of course, he wasn't hit. Only his car was hit, but he will say, "You hit me." Because we start identifying with the car. But at least in the example of car and the driver, there is still some difference. Because we always leave the car when we come to a stop, we have to park the car and get out. Then we know there is some difference. But when we are in this body, of course, body that we are seeing, it's made of sense organs, there's so many other things. But the soul, when it's in this body, it gets so much of entangled, conditioned, that soul starts thinking, I am this body. That is what ahankar. Like somebody explained, I am this car. That is ahankar. So we start identifying with the body. That's it. Because we don't get out of the body. Like according to some principles, yes, we do. When we sleep, the soul and the subtle body, sometimes they leave also. But before we get up, it comes back inside the body. But that's hard to understand. It's not as gross as parking the car and getting out of the car and going into the house. The living entities, however, are not the bodies, they're separate from the cause. But the less intelligent material scientists cannot understand the process of assembling the parts of the body, namely the senses, the mind, and the qualities of the material modes. Every living entity is a spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Being, and by the kindness of the for the Father is kind to all his sons. The individual living beings are given a little freedom to act according to their will, to lord it over the material nature. So they accept the Maya or the maid servant as all in all and thus wrongly conceive the supreme truth to be feminine, goddess Durga, etc. So this whole creation, okay, let me just read the last paragraph. The parts of the body, such as the senses, are the creation of the Mahatattva. And when they are assembled by the will of the Lord, the material body comes into existence and the living entity is allowed to use it for further activities. This is explained as follows. See, the whole idea behind creation of this material world is for us to understand that this is not my place. This is not where I belong. This is not where I should be. I have to go back to the spiritual world. But the way Krishna has designed the material world, it's amazing. We know we are not this body. We know we are not this senses. We know we are not any of the material elements in this material world. We know we are spirit soul. Spirit soul is very powerful. Spirit soul is above all these material ingredients, material nature. But spirit soul, although powerful, part and parcel of Krishna, comes under the material modes and then the material senses. He starts serving the material senses. Who serves? Another thing, if I am somebody's servant, then only I am under somebody, then only I will serve him. So spirit soul, although very powerful, although above all these material elements, comes under the material elements. And that's where our whole problem starts. And then birth after birth after birth after birth, different species of life, different planets in the same universe, different universes. We keep on taking birth, keep on serving the senses, keep on identifying with the material bodies, and that's it. We forget our real identity. That is Maya. So material energy is very powerful, but not more powerful than the spiritual energy. But the spiritual energy comes under the control of material energy. He comes under the control. Why? Because of only one reason. One and only one reason. There's no other reason. And that reason is the spiritual spark, spiritual living entity wants to control or enjoy this material nature. That's all. More we try to control, try to enjoy this material nature, more we get entangled in this material world. That's it. This is the only reason we are here. So I'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Prabhuji's
Krishna.
tough science. Let us first assimilate, understand, and then we'll ask questions. It's very tough science, though. I have to read everything all over again. But
Okay,
nicely
Prabhu.
explained. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, so we will
Hare
stop
Krishna,
here.
Prabhuji.
You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jai
Thank
Srila
you, Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.